Live from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. It is Tuesday night, and you all know what that means. Welcome to the Lock Haven University Coaches Show. I'm Jonathan Schwab, and for the next half an hour, we'll talk with Lock Haven University coaches, recapping the week that was and looking ahead at the week that will be. For those of you joining us at Haywood's on the Green on this Tuesday night, thank you so much for coming on out. If you're listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, it is Wednesday, and it does not get any bigger than this. Coming up next, Lock Haven University women's basketball fighting for their playoff lives against Mansfield, and then the men, hoping with a little bit of help and a win of their own that they can secure a playoff berth with a win over the Mountaineers of Mansfield. Let's get it started now, though, as we are joined by another first-timer. Lock Haven University assistant wrestling coach Eric Thompson. Eric, great to have you on the show for the first time. For folks who are not familiar with you, what's your wrestling background?
I grew up in Iowa. I wrestled. These guys like to make fun of me for growing up in Iowa. I grew up in Iowa, won 3 national titles for Grandview University in Des Moines. After completing my degree there, I went to Penn State and trained full-time for 2.5, 3 years, trying to make the Olympic team. I got 5th place at the 2016 Olympic trials, and then I took the job at Lock Haven.
So you just mentioned your wrestling career is not completely finished yet. You're still active and still working out and still trying to improve and achieve things. How does that help you as a coach to still be an active wrestler yourself?
I think it's good. I think me getting on the mat, wrestling with the guys, and being on the mat all the time with them and sometimes competing with them, wrestling hard with them makes a big difference for them and their wrestling.
How often do you get out there with those guys?
I wrestle every day, maybe twice a day sometimes. So just depends on the week, what everybody wants to accomplish.
Now, do you show all the tricks in the arsenal, or do you save a couple for your own competitions?
I'm not always out there fighting as hard as I can, but they don't even know that.
Well, if they tune in, now they know. Joined by Lock Haven University assistant wrestling coach Eric Thompson on the LHU Coaches Show from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. How did you connect with Scott Moore and the Lock Haven University wrestling program?
So it kind of ended up being a small world. My wife, her brother, so my brother-in-law is the 25-pounder here at Lock Haven Jake Field. So as I came to Penn State, I kind of started coming to a couple Lock Haven duels and got to know Scott a little bit and got to know the program a little bit. So then the job came open and we talked about it and we thought it'd be a good fit. So it seemed like the next logical move for me, moving in the coaching direction.
Now that's funny because for those of you listening on the radio end, Eric, you are the antithesis, the exact opposite of the 125-pounder. How often do you and Jake joke about the differences in body type?
I mean, we don't talk about it too much. You know, he's a tiny little person and I'm a big person, so that's just kind of how it ends up.
Speaking as a tiny little person, that's a wonderful way to characterize it. What are your primary responsibilities within the wrestling program?
So I'm pretty much with 174 and up. So I'm with Adam Mackey, Corey Hazel, Tristan Sponseller, and Thomas Haynes. I'm wrestling with those guys a lot. I'm working with them on their technique and all those things. And then along with that, I do a lot of the strength and conditioning stuff for the team, which has been a good learning curve because I didn't really have like a ton of expertise in it, but it's been good to learn about those things and try to figure out a lot of things about the lifting, about conditioning, you know, open a lot of people, talk to a lot of people that I know, talk to a lot of people that I've met about, you know, what the new thing in lifting is and working with our guys. And I think this year's been a good year for us lifting-wise. Guys have gotten stronger, guys have gotten bigger, so it's been a good year.
When you bring up Adam Mackey, folks are very interested in how you bring a guy that is not necessarily at his natural weight to that unnatural weight, but make sure that he's healthy and successful. What was the process like in making sure that Adam Mackey was healthy and successful when you decided you wanted to move him to 174?
Adam's done a tremendous job on the cut down to 174, as far as managing it, as far as eating the right things. And, you know, there's times when you're torn down and you're exhausted in wrestling, and he's done a really good job of cutting his weight right and feeling good when he needs to, and then other times getting just doing a good job all around in that and working hard in the wrestling room even when he doesn't feel good. If he had a bad meal or something, he still comes into the wrestling room. He still competes hard. So I think you're starting to see that as something as to why he is now competing for us, and he will compete at EWLs.
What are the primary differences between the heavyweights and the lightweights and the middleweights?
I mean, as far as the heavyweights, the bigger guys on the team, I think wrestling's wrestling is the bottom line of all that. But I think some of these guys, they're not going to shoot quite as much. It's more about the hand fight. You need to get a guy moving. It's a little bit tougher because guys are bigger and stronger. So when you do shoot, it needs to be a good shot. It needs to be finished correctly. It needs to be boom, boom, boom. You need to take the shot and finish it. So it can't be hangout time, a little bit of hand fighting, and you get, guys getting better at hand fighting, guys getting better at. But really, it's all the same. Guys need to compete hard. They need to fight hard. They need to go out there and work as hard as they can every match and come in with a good attitude every day in the room.
Joined by Lock Haven University assistant wrestling coach Eric Thompson on the LHU Coaches Show from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. Eric, two guys in the room that you work with that I'd like to ask you about. First, Thomas Haynes. What makes him special as a heavyweight?
Thomas Haynes is a tremendous athlete. Bottom line on that is, he's 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds, and, I'm sure he can compete with anybody on our team in a 100-meter dash. He's a tremendous athlete, and he knows wrestling. He has a good feel for the sport. He has a good feel for positions. And he does a lot of things on his shots that a lot of heavyweights don't do. He's turning angles. He's cutting angles. He's getting out of the way when a guy's sprawling, and I think that's what makes him a dynamic wrestler is that he has all those things in his arsenal, and he continues to come in every day with a, teach me, learn, I want to learn attitude towards me and towards our coaching staff. So I think you're seeing a combination of one-on-one work, his hard work throughout his life, and a culmination of that this year when he's had the results he's had.
The other guy I want to ask about, not a member of the starting lineup, but Brad Emmerich, who was the starting heavyweight for 3 years. Mm-hmm. When you get the kind of buy-in and the kind of team mentality from a young guy like Brad Emmerich, who essentially lost his spot to Thomas Haynes in the lineup, how does that make the room and the program better?
Brad impressed me, and I know he impressed a lot of us with how mature he was about it, because sometimes that's a difficult situation is the bottom line. Someone comes in that's very good, and you still, he obviously wanted to be the starter until he wasn't. So, he did a really good job, and, we talked about it, and, he figured out, what Thomas Haynes does reflects on me. So he got on board, and he worked hard with Thomas. He got better as a wrestler. He beat Petruzzi from F&M, who was a national qualifier. He kind of beat him up, and he had a bunch of other good wins this season that, I think it proves that if you get good guys in the room, iron sharpens iron, you're going to see a better competitor out on the mat.
We'll have more with Eric Thompson when we come back from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. This is the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, presented by the Bear Country Sports Network. Welcome back to the Lock Haven University Coaches Show. We are live on Tuesday night from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall, and we're here every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. until 7:30. For those of you joining us at Haywood's, thank you for coming out. If you're listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, we are about 40 minutes, maybe 35 minutes to be precise, away from Lock Haven University women's basketball. Pivotal matchup with their neighbors to the north, Mansfield, men's game immediately following. All of it on the Bear Country Sports Network. Jonathan Schwab with LHU assistant wrestling coach Eric Thompson right now. Eric, you're dealing with a group of guys at the heavyweight level where, as is the case with any team, you've got different guys, different learning styles. How do you tailor your message each day so that it's fit for the individuals but also processed by the group as a whole?
I think the big message overall is the same for everybody. Just go out there, compete as hard as you can, fight as hard as you can for 7 minutes, and leave it out there. Don't have any regrets about anything that you're gonna do. And then I think individually, like technique-wise, things that individuals need to hear, those come later on, Those come in the text messages at night. Those come in the phone calls that you make with guys. Those come, when you're sitting down talking to a guy in your office. So I think the big message overall comes, it's tailored for everybody, bottom line.
Well, you're in a stretch now where a month without competition. So, and you smile as I say that. As coaches, how do you keep it fresh for the guys?
It's hard, it's hard and it's not hard at the same time. Really, it's like these guys, they all want the same thing. They all want to be a national champion. They all want to be an All-American. They all want to be at the national tournament. So you just keep reminding them of those goals. Those are right here. We're here right now. You can make a choice right now to work as hard as you can for these next 4 weeks, because it is tough over across 4 weeks, not seeing any competition, not making any real adjustments. It does make it more difficult. So, just keeping them focused on the goal at hand. We're not coming in there for fun. I mean, it is fun, but it's not for fun. Specifically, we're there to win, and we're there to fight, and we're there to work hard. So keeping these guys just on task, and they've done a really good job. This whole layoff that we've had, they've done a really good job this entire time. So we've been excited about that.
I've read many a book where I see that winning is fun, right?
Hey, winning's always fun.
Off the mat, I know promotion has started for the summertime wrestling camps. I would swear on Twitter I saw Nate Carr Jr. in a football helmet. I also saw him trying to dribble a basketball. I emphasize trying. He did okay, but I don't think Mike Nestor's going to be calling anytime soon.
Yeah, you can definitely tell he's a wrestler. Definitely tell he's a wrestler.
What should people know about LHU wrestling camps?
Big summer for us. They should know that these camps are indicative of how our team does, and it carries us over to next season. It's a big fundraiser for us. This is how we keep our guys here in the summer. This is how we keep them training the whole summer. So it's a big deal for guys to come. We're doing a technique camp, a junior high and senior high team camp, and then a college-style training camp. So, we need people out in numbers. We need a lot of teams coming out, and we're starting to reach out to people now, because it's got to be a grassroots effort to try and get these local high school teams, further away high school teams, getting everybody out there. So, commercials are always good that Nate Carr does, and we need them. We need those things to happen and to get a broader reach and get more teams and more kids and more coaches, more people on board.
I can't wait to see the next commercial. Maybe a little soccer. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see if we can get him to do something crazy.
Our One for Fun with Eric Thompson, and you're a brave man because this is your first time on the show, and the listeners should know we did not pre-vet the One for Fun. So this is flying at you off the cuff. As an athlete, as a coach, you spend a lot of time traveling. When you're driving on the highway, what is your ideal speed of travel in the car?
I'm not a speed guy. I'm pretty well terrified of cars. You got to be aware that they're machines. So I would say probably. And it's a little different here in Pennsylvania with the roads going all crazy and stuff. So probably 65 miles an hour, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, Lock Haven University assistant wrestling coach Eric Thompson, thank you so much for the time, and we wish you well as you continue to prepare for EWLs.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
When we come back on the LHU Coaches Show, it'll be Lock Haven University head baseball coach Jim Chester. This is the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, presented by the Bear Country Sports Network. Welcome back. This is the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, presented by the Bear Country Sports Network. We are live at Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall, here every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. until 7:30. If you've chosen to join us, thank you so much. If you're listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, it's getting close. Lock Haven University women's basketball. The pregame at 5:15. Tip at 5:30 as they host Mansfield in a do-or-die game. That's how we say it for the women, and the men immediately following that women's matchup. Thrilled to be joined right now by Lock Haven University head baseball coach Jim Chester. Coach Chester, if we're talking, it means we're close to the 2017 season. How much are you itching to get the season started?
Well, after the weather the last couple of days, we're really itching to, get out and play somebody else. It's been an outstanding week. It's probably the earliest that the program's ever be able to get on our field. So it's been great for our young men and great for the staff, and we're just really excited to get on that bus Friday and compete on Saturday.
I know you have a very experienced team this season. Where does the leadership come from within that group?
I think it comes from a few different areas. It's great. We have a great senior core, and within that senior core, our young men that were actually here before I took the job. A lot of them were sophomores when I took over, and then there's also a few guys that are seniors or within part of the recruiting class that I brought in last year. So, the leadership I think is a little twofold. I mean, we've got some hungry guys that have been here. They're in their fourth year, and and then the group of guys that came in last year that they're really hungry to improve on last year's performance.
How unique a situation is it where, for the most part, you're not relying on newcomers this season? It really is a season where you're going to look at guys who have played baseball for Lock Haven to produce for you.
Yeah, we're very excited for the season. It's a way different situation than the last 2 years that I've been here. My first year, and I was hired in late August, so there was a pretty much roster in place and had to run with that, and then we had to make some changes after that first year and had a lot of new faces last year, and what's been great is the chemistry is in a really good spot, and with that and the familiarity over the last 2 years, I think bodes for obviously the experience tool is going to be a big asset of ours going into this season.
Generally in baseball, where do you see experience show up the most?
Hey, I think in all the facets. Obviously, every time you've got a guy on the mound that's an upperclassman, you think he has a little bit of an advantage. And, a lot of our guys that are in the lineup, we return a majority of our lineup from last year. Most of those young men, maybe they weren't all here at Lock Haven, but a lot of them are approaching, 500-600 at bats in their career. So, I think that's always an advantage versus somebody that's, freshman, sophomore type deal. So I think that in both ends of that spectrum, I think, we have a lot of experience, and, I think our young men are ready to play.
Joined by Lock Haven University head baseball coach Jim Chester on the LHU Coaches Show from Haywood's on the Green. Jim, let's start with your infield. What should people know about the 2017 Lock Haven University baseball infield group?
I think the group is deep and talented in the, going around the horn a little bit. At third base, we have Colby DeHaas, who's a junior college transfer that we think is going to be able to do some really good things for us at the corners at third and first. Aaron Andres is a senior for us that is also going to be able to provide some depth and be able to play a couple different spots and be a guy for us throughout the season. At second base, it's a unique situation. We have two seniors, two very good players. Hunter Safarsky returns after an excellent junior campaign, and Jamie Eshelman, who was on fire at the end of last season, hit over 300, is a very, very reliable infielder. And then also at first base, we were returning all PSAC player Matt Lawn, and also Justin Slay. Justin Slay's coming off an injury, but he also was an all-region performer as a freshman. So we're excited to see their production going into this year. Local product in Central Mountain graduate, and then also transfer from Chesapeake Junior College, Caden Stover, joins our lineup as our shortstop. Very talented player. He's going to be a huge addition moving into the 2017 season. So we're excited with the stability we have, the experience, and then a few guys that can play a couple different spots. I think our infield has a lot of promise moving into the year.
How much flexibility as a coaching staff, when you have that kind of depth and ability, how much flexibility do you have to play matchups when you want to?
Yeah, we do. There's a lot of different. I guess it's a really good problem because we didn't have that the last 2 years. We were kind of set with who we had to put in the lineup in a lot of different areas. So being able to have this flexibility and a couple left-handed hitters in that area, we're going to be able to do some matchup things and hopefully all the different types of strengths our infielders have, we can kind of put them in all the right situations and help us win some games.
How about a look at your outfield this season?
I really believe our outfield's very deep too. We have a core of 6, 7 guys that can really help us. I mean, Sam Kaiser returns after a junior season that allowed him to play a lot of different positions for us. Nick Stotler also returns as a redshirt sophomore. He was our leading hitter last year and is coming off an excellent summer in the Prospect League. Jimmy Webb also returns after starting a majority of the games in left field. Tyson Petersheim, who is also a 3-year starter for us, that is able to do a lot of different things on the base paths defensively and at the plate, has done a really good job. And, he provides a lot of depth and can, help us in a lot of different areas. Demetrius Haskins returns as a sophomore, who's a plus runner that's going to be able to help us on the base paths in a lot of different situations. So we have a lot of young men that can really help us, moving into the season.
We move now to the pitching staff. What should people know about your starting pitchers?
I think that we have a 1-2 punch that I think is as good as any in the league, and we're really excited. These two young men have really they've really worked very hard over this year, and I think that they're going to be able to really help us move into the season. Jacob Belinda and Mike Anthony are both coming off excellent summers in the Prospect League, and also great falls. And both those guys were outstanding against Penn State in the fall, and we just know really good things are ahead of them, and you can plan on seeing those guys game 1 and game 2. Zach Manapelli's a senior for us who had a little bit of up and down junior year, but again, he provides a lot of experience. I mean, he was pitched 2 years at a Division I level, and after last year, I mean, we think he's ready to step in that role. And Brett Morrison is another young man who, had some decent numbers for us last year, and he's a junior, and he's kind of been through it a little bit. He's going to be a guy that we think is going to be able to anchor our 4 spot and really help us moving forward.
How about what you have at your disposal in the bullpen?
Well, we returned left-handed pitcher Nick Hornbaker, who's a junior. He's been a staple there for the last 2 years and has really developed, and we're going to be able to rely on him. We also have Division I transfer Brenton LaRose as a right-handed option out of the bullpen, and we're expecting some big innings out of him, throughout the season. Senior Tom Cockle is also a option out of the bullpen, and he a consistent strike thrower that's going to be able to log a lot of innings for us. So we're really, really excited. On top of those guys, we have 2 freshmen, Avery Eddy, somewhat local product from Hughesville, and then also Colin Ekman. Both those guys have really grown over the last 6 months here at Lock Haven, and we're really, really excited to see what they have. But they also have the guidance of being able to behind a lot of juniors and seniors in that regards. A couple position players they're going to be able to throw some innings for us too. We're big fans of dual players here, and they really help our program. Matt Lawn, who I mentioned before, is going to be able to throw a few innings for us. We also have Caden Stover. We're going to be able to throw them out, and also Tyson Petersheim. So with all those guys together, we feel we have a pretty deep staff, and really excited to see these guys go out and do some damage here.
Joined by Lock Haven University head baseball coach Jim Chester on the LHU Coaches Show. Jim, you brought up something interesting in talking about the freshmen. How healthy an environment is this for the freshmen where there's no pressure on them to perform? They can just watch the veterans and grow and progress at their own pace.
Well, I mean, I think that it's good, and a few of them have been taken under the wing of a junior senior type guy, and but I mean we are putting pressure on them. I mean the thing is, once we get into a little bit of an extended schedule on spring break, and then when there's opportunities, when Mother Nature's not as kind as she's been the last couple of days, we get backed up. These guys are going to have to pitch, so they're going to get their opportunities this year, and but they're who we need, moving forward in the future, and hopefully the work ethic and the success of some of the upperclassmen here will help develop them.
Your first opponent of the season, Shawan. What should fans know about them?
Shawan was actually a 2016 Atlantic Regional participant. They won the CIA last year, and they are going to be scrappy. They're going to play hard. They're on their, they're playing at home, 4 games, and they've had the advantage of playing 10 games so far, and we've played nothing but inter squads on a football field. So these guys, they've been able to get out and really get after it. They're well coached, and I know they play hard. So we're just excited to be able to get out and, play somebody different than ourselves.
Our One for Fun with Jim Chester. You have a long trip coming up on Friday. How will you pass the time on the trip?
Well, I heard the massive crowd here just scream sleep, and I can't sleep on a bus, so it's not my thing. Honestly, I pass the time a lot with it's usually recruiting, or maybe making fun of Coach Smoke. That has something to do, maybe that a little bit, but no, I don't make fun of Coach Smoke. But it's more a lot of times is I do the one thing I do, I like to go to the back of the bus and talk to the guys in a little bit different of an environment and really see what's going on and maybe get them in line a little bit as we take our trip. But it usually works out when we leave at 6 a.m. Everybody's asleep by 6:30, and Coach Chester's talking to the bus driver. So.
Well, you make a new friend. That counts for something. Lock Haven University head baseball coach Jim Chester. Season opener on Saturday at 1 p.m. at Shawan. Start of a 4-game weekend series. We wish you luck over the weekend and looking ahead as you get the 2017 season rolling.
You're the man, Schwab. Thank you.
That is highly debatable. Thanks, Coach Chester. Thank you to both coaches who came to join us on the Lock Haven University Coaches Show tonight. That'll do it for those of you who came to Haywood's tonight. Thank you so much for coming out. If you're listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, just about to get going, it is the pregame. Lock Haven University women's basketball at home against Mansfield. Men's game following the women's game. For our entire Bear Country Sports Network crew, I'm Jonathan Schwab, and you've been listening to the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, presented by the Bear Country Sports Network.